take a look at this example for a moment, which is a simple address search in the outer suburbs of Melbourne. You can see I've typed in 2 Longmeadow Road Officer, and I actually did this yesterday, so it's reasonably current. So in the left-hand side here, we've got the Google map, and on the right-hand side here, we've got the result coming back from GT Loca Explore. So the Google map says I don't really know about that address, but Loca Explore, because it's using the authoritative data sets of government and using multiple authoritative data sets, it's actually coming back with a result that you can then work with, I guess. And it gives the best result that's available. So just to highlight that fact, you know, the commodity mapping solutions have a lag attached to them. I mean, every system's got a lag attached to it, but you really want to be able to tap into what the best data is available at the time. And so that's where using Loca Explore to broker those requests and use those data sources gives you an advantage. And so whilst searching with GT Loca Explore returns the most current result, it can also provide the most accurate, which can make all of the difference for certain other things. So here's another example where in Google Maps we've done a search for 48 Smith Street, North Bendigo. And I use Google Maps as an example because many people are familiar with that. And so you come back with a highlighted parcel boundary, which is what you would believe to be correct. But of course, if you take that same request and you put it into GT Loca Explore, which is using the government data sets, it's actually returning what is the true definition of that particular address. So this can be of value, I guess, if you're a fencing contractor and you want to know the total length of fence and you're trying to do it off the map without going out on site. You know, having the right property shape is kind of important. And of course, that polygon or that shape for the property is then used in other analysis as well. So if we wanted to go and assess the planning zones that impacted that particular property, we actually do need the true shape of that property in order to go and do the continuing analysis. So it is kind of critical to actually have that. So with that as a backdrop, let's have a look at the spatial search feature, which is built into Loca Explore as well. And so this allows me to find information that surrounds an actual location or a customer address. And here I'm using a wide range of data sets. And we can even search your own custom data sets if you had something in particular. So if you wanted to search where your nearest customers are, for example. So in this example, I've asked GT Loca Explore to tell me where the nearest parking, railway station, I think we've got a hospital in there, to what I've validated. And then I've geocoded. So if you look at the red pin on the map, so the red pin on the map shows where my search area was, and then the orange pins are showing where the results are. But more than that, I'm actually coming back with not just the location of those features, but also distance back to the origin of the search and direction as well, and the information about that particular feature. If I want to extend it a little bit further, and this is what Loca Explore can do, is drill into administrative boundaries. So now that same point, I'm drilling in to find things like electoral boundaries, postcodes, and even the height above sea level can all be derived from that one address entry. So cast your mind back to that diagram, that single entry that comes in, all of this happens underneath and then passes back a single response back to the calling application. And so we can also integrate your own custom data sets into the search, and we've got customers that are doing that now. And if you were to think about how your own business could use this, you know, what information would you want to put in to provide your customers when they visit your website if you wanted to build that into the solution. So the next one I wanted to cover off was routing, and we're all familiar with routing because we've used these commodity mapping websites as well. Of course, routing assumes that you've got the start and the end point correct, and so we've covered that off in the previous slides and how GT Loca Explore can differentiate. But on the example here, we've gone from 7 Carters Avenue to the Alfred Hospital, and GT Loca Explore returns the detailed instructions here. In this case, I've said I want the shortest. And of course, there's other services like Google and Bing and Navtech that all do this. But what we've done is we've integrated the Loca Explore into Loca Explore the Google and Bing interfaces so that it can do the routing for you, and it'll support multiple, including if you've got your own routes that you want to route on, so a different network if you like, it can route on those as well. So the last feature I wanted to cover off is about visualizing search results on a map. And what this means is that you can use GT Loca Explore not only to answer your questions, but to display those answers to users. And so maps that can be returned can be easily integrated. So you'll see here we've got Google Maps, we've got Bing Maps, we've got OpenStreetMap if you want to go down that path, and even if you've got your own map preference as well, you can do it over street directories. We can actually integrate all of those And we can embed them not just back into the web result, but also into documents, so document templates like Microsoft Word. So just to wrap all that up, I guess, we've covered off that incorrect addresses can cost you business time and money, and having multiple recordings of those addresses, and that maps can provide a greater insight on the customers and can help you service them better. I think that's a key takeaway for this. But GT Loca Explore allows you to actually get that information that you need by simple address-based requests. It can hit multiple address validation records, and it can actually provide spatial searches that return the nearest or interacting data searches, which can report on administrative information impacting your nominated address. We've integrated this solution into a number of business systems, and many of them don't have a map interface at all. And the feedback that we get from the IT groups is that this is a ready-made solution, and it's a proven solution that doesn't impact on the IT infrastructure within the business. So it's really easy to get up and running. For those customers that have an in-house or that must have an in-house solution, it can actually be deployed there, but also the SaaS offering is there as well. And lastly, if you've got a huge volume of a backlog and you want to get that through, using a batch process is capable as well. So I guess just to close up on that, hopefully that's clear to all those attending today, and we've been able to communicate what GT Loca Explore is.
Great, thanks for that, Ross. Great presentation, and nice and short and snappy too. It really does, I guess from my perspective, seeing that GT's Loca Explore has a lot of possibilities, and they almost grow on your customers as they experience Loca Explore in their environment. Is that the case?
Oh, look, absolutely. What we find is that the Loca Explore is a really flexible and easy to integrate solution for our customers, and customers are using different components. I've shown you a few components, and depending upon the business need, which does vary from organisation to organisation, they'll go and pick and choose which parts of the service they want to try and build into their request. Many of our users started with the batch, where they had a huge backlog of addresses that they needed cleaned up, and then they've moved on to the real-time solution, and they've been able to incorporate that into their business systems. And a number of our customers have really been quite favourable in their feedback, and once they've got it going, they wonder how they could actually survive managing their data or their address data before they integrated this into their business.
Great, thanks for that explanation. Well, we are coming to an end of the webinar. We did promise that it would only take 20 minutes, and we're about on time. So just what I'm wanting to do now is to get some questions from the audience. I have previously talked about the question panel within GoToWebinar, so I'll encourage those of you that have questions to ask to go there now and present those to us. And what I'll do, Ross, if you don't mind, is just read to you some questions that have come in during session.
Yeah, go for it.
So the first question I've got for you, Ross, is what happens if my address data, and I guess this is to begin with, if they're starting with a baseline data set where the address data quality is poor?
And it's a pretty common situation where most people do start off with a pretty crazy address data set, I guess. And so what the Loca Explore, the GT Loca Explore solution does is actually uses the GNAP or VicMap engines to try and clean that up using sort of the advanced logic, which I sort of alluded to a little bit, which can do fuzzy matching, and we've got a series of aliases in there as well, and so with vanity suburbs that need to be included. So it can actually goes a long way towards cleaning that up. So we've got in addition to the address data sets that we have, we've built up aliases and abbreviations and really tried to add some smarts in there, and some of those are like common misspellings as well. And so because we can use the multiple engines, we can take advantage of the most up-to-date data. And so, for example, VicMap, we take a weekly update of VicMap in Victoria, so that's pretty handy for those in Victoria. And then we use sort of GNAF and PAF if we're going to be working geocoding areas around the rest of the country. And so when it comes to cleaning up the data, I mean, those data sets are really in accordance with the software as well. Those data sets really go a long way towards taking that data from where it was to making it really useful.
Great, thank you, Ross. Second question I have here for you is, what do I need to get Loca Explore, and how quickly can you get me up and running?
Gee whiz, maybe we can get you up and running tomorrow. It's as simple as giving you a WSDL, I guess, web services request, and all we need to do is just provision an ID for security, which authenticates that request at the service end here. And so we've had people get up and running in an hour or so. It's as simple as that. However long it takes for people to understand just what the request looks like and what they can do with the response, it's really that simple. I'm not that technically minded, but those that are get it pretty quickly.
Great, thanks, Ross. There's a few questions sort of rolling in now, so what I'll do is maybe present you with a couple more of those, and then for the remainder, Ross, maybe you can just touch base with people offline. So just quickly, a good curly one for you. What does GT Loca Explore cost?
Well, it's a transaction-based pricing, and it's dependent upon the sorts of services that people want to use. So if, for example, you want to use a data set that's a licensed data set within that service, then there's a royalty paid. So there are multiple commercial data sets that exist underneath the covers there, and so if you want to go and use those, then there's obviously royalties. We've got some customers who just do a small number of transactions and over the course of the year, and so it can range anywhere from like $5,000 a year to even higher. It just depends upon the usage, and I guess that's the beauty of the transaction model, of a pricing model that we've got. It allows you to actually scale up as you use it, and so you're not locked into too much. Always a tricky one to answer because it's that how long's the piece of string. But short answer is anywhere from $5,000 a year upwards, I would have thought.
Okay, great. And we like short answers, of course, because we're on a time limit. So just one more question for you, which has just rolled in, which is a good one. Do I have access to my usage statistics on the service?
Look, short answer, yes. All the usage is logged and includes a full request and a response, as well as the source of the request. It also includes the IP address where the request came from, and so you can actually start to do some data mining to see which parts of the business or which parts of the country, if it's an externally facing website, are actually using that service. So there's actually a lot of smarts that's being captured underneath with each request, and you can actually do quite a bit of mining on it afterwards.